Hello everyone, this is Faye at CSN Chicago News. An Army veteran who served 2 tours of duty in Afghanistan will be deported to Mexico, a judge ruled last week. On Sunday morning, family and supporters of Army Private First Class Miguel Perez Jr., who was born in Mexico and grew up in Chicago, gathered at Pilsen Church. Perez's parents said it's unfair that their son, who legally came to the U.S. at age 8 and fought for his country, may not be able to call the U.S. home. Perez, 38, was a legal permanent resident when he joined the Army and said he thought he became a legal U.S. citizen when he enlisted. However, that was not the case. About 4 years after leaving the military, Perez served prison time for felony drug offense, which sparked the deportation proceedings. A U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Office spokesman said Perez was targeted for removal only after being convicted of a felony for selling drugs after he left the Army in 2010. Hundreds of people in Chicago's Woodlawn neighborhood learned more about the Obama Presidential Library and the impact it could have on the city's south side. The library will be built in Jackson Park. Michael Romanis, the Obama Foundation's Vice President of Civic Engagement, spoke to the Woodlawn Community Summit. He hopes the library will be a culture cornerstone for the south side. Amazon launched its online bookstore nearly 22 years ago. On Tuesday, it will open the doors of a brick-and-mortar store in Chicago's Lakeview neighborhood, giving customers a chance to test the e-commerce giant's take on offline shopping. It's just one 6,000-square-foot neighborhood bookstore, but it's also one of Amazon's first experiments with live customer service and cash registers, and a sign that one of the retail industry's biggest disruptors may not be content to stick to e-commerce. As fast as online shopping has grown in recent years, thanks in no small part to Amazon, according to the U.S. Department of Commerce, e-commerce accounted for only about 8.1% of all U.S. retail sales last year. Amazon wants to take the best of online shopping and in-person browsing and apply to selling books and Amazon devices. McDonald's expanded its test of fresh beef to more than 300 restaurants this week, suggesting the world's largest burger chain could be getting closer to introducing never-frozen beef patties nationwide. The company said it's now offering fresh beef at all of its 325 restaurants in the Dallas area. Previously, McDonald's had been testing fresh beef at 55 restaurants across the Dallas-Fort Worth area and 75 restaurants across northeast Oklahoma. It first started testing fresh beef in a handful of restaurants in the spring of last year. The testing process not only measures that customers think of the burgers, but also the price, kitchen efficiency, and other factors that will determine whether it's a viable option to bring nationwide. Thank you for watching. See you next time.
Two sailors have died and 8 remain missing following 2 shipwrecks in East China on Sunday. Local maritime authorities said rescuers are still searching for 6 sailors from a fishing boat that sank in the waters off East China's Zhejiang province. The spokesperson for the city's Maritime Safety Administration said the vessel, with 11 people aboard, sank around 5 a.m. near Shulonghu Island. He says 5 people have been rescued. Another vessel sank in the waters of Zhangzhou City, East China's Fujian province, after hitting a rock. Now 2 sailors are dead and 2 others remain unaccounted for. Air rescuers are searching for the 2 missing people. Chinese Vice Premier Zhang Gaoli said China should improve supply-side structural reform to stimulate growth impetus and the market's vitality. He made the remarks at the opening ceremony of the China Development Forum 2017 in Beijing on Sunday. Zhang stressed the policy of seeking progress while maintaining stability and emphasized efforts to maintain growth, ensure employment, and counteract risks from home and abroad. He added that China will go ahead with its supply-side reform, this year cutting steel production capacity by around 50 million tons and coal capacity by over 150 million tons. The vice premier said key reforms will spur economic growth and increase market vitality, adding the government will continue to cut red tape to facilitate businesses. The China Development Forum is a high-level meeting that gathers leaders from international institutions, academia, and companies around the world. It usually follows China's two sessions, the annual meetings held by the national legislature and political advisory body. Beijing's last large coal-fired power plant has suspended operations, meaning the capital has become China's first city with all its power plants fueled by clean energy.
The Huangnan-Beijing thermal power plant was built up and put into operation in June 1999. It has 5 coal-fired units with a total installed capacity of 845,000 kilowatts and a heating capacity of 26 million square meters. After the suspension of the plant, about 1.76 million tons of coal, 91 tons of sulfur dioxide, and 285 tons of nitrogen oxide emissions will be cut annually. According to a clean air plan by Beijing from 2013 to 2017, Beijing will build 4 gas thermal power standards and shut down 4 large coal-field thermal power plants during the period. Another 3 plants, which used to consume over 6.8 million tons of coal each year, were closed in 2014 and 2015. 3 of the 4 gas thermal power have already been built and are in use. Beijing has 27 power plants, all fueled by clean energy with a total installed capacity of 11.3 million kilowatts. According to the city's plan, Beijing will build no more large-scale power plants.
China's property market in major cities has stabilized as authorities move to curb price rises.
According to the National Bureau of Statistics, of 70 large and medium-sized cities surveyed in February, more than half of them saw month-on-month price declines or rises, less than 0.5% for new residential housing. New residential home prices in first-tier cities such as Beijing and Shanghai rose 0.1% on average in February, while second-tier and third-tier cities registered a slightly higher price gains of 0.3% and 0.4% respectively. Noticeably, in the second-hand home transactions market, the prices were up 0.4% month-on-month in February, maintaining the growing trend for 23 months. Since October last year, dozens of Chinese cities have announced measures including purchase limits and mortgage restrictions to prevent prices from rising out of control. The latest round of restrictions came after 2 years of policy easing, starting with relaxation of purchase restrictions in 2014 and fueled by the pro-growth policies, including interest rate cuts. Many third-tier and fourth-tier cities have excess supply in their real estate markets, while housing prices in some bigger cities with access to better education and medical services are moving swiftly upward. Saturday's survey comes on the heels of new measures in major cities. Beijing is raising the minimum down payment for second home buyers and those who have no home in Beijing but have housing loan records. In a similar vein, the southern Chinese city of Guangzhou has also restricted house purchases through minimum down payments for second home buyers.
Rentable bicycles have become trendy lately in many cities in China, but now there is a lazy version. The first batch of sharing electric bike has been officially unveiled in North China's Tianjin municipality. The bikes were an immediate hit, with all being rented out in just 20 minutes.
The bikes are designed to be fully stationless. Powered by lithium battery, it can reach speeds of 20 kilometers per hour and has a range of 60 kilometers. To use it, riders just need to scan a code to unlock the bike. Fees are charged according to the distance at 0.5 yuan per kilometer. Compared with the sharing bicycles, electric bikes come with some benefits. The obvious is that users don't need to pedal, making it a more attractive option for some and increasing the range for others. There are also plans to add new functions such as the navigation app and tour guide riding.
The biggest difference between the electric and ordinary bags is electricity. The electric bag is more manpower saving. The sharing traffic has great potential in innovative space. Market-oriented enterprise innovation is benefiting people on easier travel and solving congestion.
Mr. Hao, a Tianjin citizen, tried the new concept. As a geek, he's now new to biking sharing apps, but it's his first time to see a shareable electric bike.
It's okay, because the two purposes are different. A bag is better for short distance, while the electric one can do a bit longer.
It is hoped that this could be just one answer to the congestion that plagues modern cities, with several electric bikes taking up the space of just one car on the road.
A new report shows that China has become the biggest foreign job creator in Africa. Massive Chinese investments in the continent have helped create millions of jobs and unlocking local development.
Chinese investments in Africa can be found everywhere, but particularly in the energy sector, manufacturing, and infrastructure building. This has led to the creation of millions of jobs in Africa and offer the chance for professionals to build their careers.
I mean, China ranks 1 in terms of jobs created in Africa over the last 2 years, even though they only rank 9th in terms of the amount of money they've put in. So they've obviously prioritized job creation, which links to Africa's development, and so they've recognized that that's important in their brand awareness. And so they've prioritized job creation, and increasingly that's been driven by private sector companies, and we expect that to continue to be the case because a lot of the changes underway inside China are pushing them out to look for new markets, to look for new opportunities, and we think that Africa offers those opportunities that are consistent with those competitive advantages for economic activity and development. So that's obviously a positive, and that's been led by CDB, Exim Bank, and the concessional lending that's come, and it's bringing a lot of the best engineering companies in the world, construction companies in the world that wouldn't necessarily be prioritizing Africa to build important infrastructure. But we're also seeing more and more increasingly its investment from private sector companies in manufacturing and so on. And those are the ones which are creating the most jobs.
Data shows the Chinese economy is to be stabilizing this year. Despite the slowdown, analysts stay confident the Chinese firms will still play a shaping role in Africa.
The Chinese economy will be more stable than many people think this year, and I think that's the nature of the fact that a lot of the drivers that we'll see coming into play in China will be relatively constructive and supportive. And so I think 6.5% is probably where they're going to end up. And I think that in the context of this global environment, that's a pretty decent result if you're the second biggest economy in the world.
The forum was attended by dozens of Chinese investors, mostly corporate clients of the Standard Bank, to discuss ways of managing the economic challenges and the volatile debt markets in China.
专业的团队，丰厚的经验。
Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to the Lake Cook Law Group.
投资理财、法律咨询，芝加哥专业律师团队为您的梦想提供最安全的保障。
Despite China's dramatic surge in influence over the past 35 years, the country still lags well behind in terms of soft power, with countries such as the US, as well as neighbors South Korea and Japan, seen as greater success stories. China has made the promotion of its soft power assets a priority in recent years, yet the campaigns have yielded mostly unsatisfactory results to date. Today, I am joined by Liu Xiang, a researcher at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, as we discuss the state of Chinese soft power and its future. On July 14th this year, Portland Communications released its Soft Power 30, an index detailing how successful certain countries' soft power initiatives have been. I understand you have a copy of the report.
Could
you perhaps hold it up
Here
for
it
us?
is. I read it.
All right. In the report, the U.S. ranked third behind Britain and Germany, while China ranked last out of all the ranked countries. And the report detailed that while China does have a wealth of soft power assets available to it, it is perhaps struggling to capitalize on those assets due to certain government restrictions. What are your thoughts on the ranking?
In my mind, soft power is part of the national power of a country. Soft power is power only because it is based on a country's hard power, which is composed of its economic and military capabilities. So this is to say soft power can never be an independent power that you could wield in the world. Being perceived nicely doesn't necessarily mean being powerful.
So a big part of China's soft power push in recent years has been the formation and promotion of Confucius Institutes abroad, run by the Hanban, also known as the National Office for Teaching of Chinese as a Foreign Language. However, the institutes have come under fire in certain countries, or at least in certain institutions, in recent times for criticism of suppressing academic freedom and promoting certain Chinese government positions. And as a result, have been closed down or asked to close down or contracts finished. How will these closures affect the Confucius Institute initiative, and what do you see for the future?
So, to the best of my understanding, the Confucius Institutes are aiming at providing some very preliminary, non-formal curriculums for those foreigners who have had initial interest in Chinese language. So the Confucius Institutes are not aiming at strengthening China's power over any country. It's just for giving people an opportunities to contact China. Now there are over 100 Confucius institutes in the United States, and all of them are run in collaborations with the U.S. hosts. As I see, generally they are run quite well. Among the 100 plus Confucius institutes in the U.S., only 2 or 3 got troubled.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a very small part.
Sure.
So, based on my understanding of the American society, it's not strange at all. You know, the U.S. is basically an open society, but that doesn't mean everybody there is open-minded. Yeah, actually, as I see, some people are even insensibly paranoid. So I believe the troubles for Confucius institutes in the U.S. is not a big issue. And I believe the Confucius institutes could still contribute quite a lot to the mutual understandings between Chinese and American people.
So, looking east now to your smaller neighbor, South Korea, and there in recent years the Hallyu, the Korean wave of Korean culture, everything from K-pop to Korean dramas has spread quite impressively throughout the world. Why is it that the South Korean cultural wave has done so well, yet China, which would seem to have greater cultural assets, or at least a more diverse range of cultural assets, has not done so well?
Okay. The Hallyu, or the Korean wave, actually started with China. Yeah, beyond China, I don't see that much.
Started with China? How so?
I mean, the wave started with China means...
Oh, you mean it came here first?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think there is a reason behind it, which is as follows. First of all, we need to see that the economy of the Republic of Korea took off much earlier than China did. And now, even China's economy is much larger than Korea in terms of total volume. But Korea is much richer than China in terms of per capita income. Sure. So on the other side, Korean people are still closely affiliated to the traditional ethical values. And these values are very well embodied in their pop culture, like TV dramas. So what the Chinese audience see in this Korean TV dramas, I think the Chinese audience see in them how the traditional values are sustained in a developed society. It's the next step for China. So I could see the Hanliu is somehow a mirror for Chinese people to see our own future.
Following on from my last question, what future do you see for Chinese soft power, and what role do you think the government should play in terms of intervention or influence?
I think the soft power thing is important, but in my hope is it's better to be a natural cause. The government shouldn't do too much on it. You know, the hard reality for China is that we are still developing countries, and the top priority for our government is to further develop our economy and to solve the problems which are emerging in the course. In the course now, you see we have so many problems: the air, the water, social disparity, all these kind of things. So if we succeed in solving all these kind of problems, our image will be better. So internationally, China's objective, as I think, is not to pursue more power over other countries, but to create a more amiable external environment for us to develop our economy. And for attaining this objective, we need to do more in exchange of ideas and values with other peoples. But in my mind, power is an over-consumed concept, and it's better for us to keep a distance from it.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Kung Fu,
I think probably the Chinese New Year.
清腔。吃的。
我觉得中国武术。
说不定还是孔子这种，因为现在国外不是到处都是孔子学院嘛。
Everything's different.
不是太了解。
这些人素质特别高吧。
自由开放，然后比较随意吧。
云天无际，承载梦想。中国南方航空是中国运输飞机最多、航线网络最发达、年客运量最大的航空公司。亚洲第一，全球第三，是南航缔造的业界奇迹。蓝天壮志情，云海谱华章。